in studio tonight, we have the Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. We have a contingency of 5 in studio, and we'd like to welcome all of them to the studio to talk to us tonight about the upcoming season, of course, and the new cricket laws. Aslam Regal, we have in studio. He is an executive member and he is also the head of the disciplinary committee. How does one's voice change immediately when you say disciplinary committee? Did you hear that?
Just get serious.
Hey, just like you just get serious. Assalamu alaikum, Aslam. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum to everybody and the listeners. Hope everybody is well. Shukran for having us.
Alhamdulillah, always a pleasure. Chris Roos is also an executive member and he is the head of events. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And then we have Suhail Parkar in studio, also an EXCO member and a newly elected secretary. So congratulations to you, Suhail.
Jazakallah and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all the members and all the listeners of this radio station.
Shukran, and it's great to have you in studio. And then we have 2 tournament umpires in Ivan de Jongh. Good evening, Ivan.
Good evening, Shamila. Good evening, listeners.
And of course, we have also in studio Brent Piet, who is also a tournament umpire. Welcome, Brent.
Hi, good evening, Shamila, and good evening to the listeners.
It's really great to have you all in studio. We are, of course, on the verge of a new cricket season. We're all excited about it. We had some cricketing people in studio just before you guys, and they were talking about the fact that they had to have a warm-up game, but obviously because of the rains, we are having an extended rainy season, some spring rain that looks a lot like winter, actually.
Yep.
Not a bit, a whole lot like winter. So this is obviously going to have some kind of, no pun intended, damper on the cricket season, but I'm sure we're going to find ways and means to get around that. But before we go into talking about the new season, the upcoming season, and of course the new cricket laws, let's just get a feel for our guests and just a brief background about how you came into umpiring. Aslam, shall we start with you?
Yeah, by all means, it's fine. So I've been playing cricket for most of my life since the age of 7 years old, and I gave up the cricket field playing-wise in 2015, and I attended the Umpires course, and I then became fully involved in umpiring, and I've been doing it ever since. So it's very different being on the other side of the playing field. It's been very challenging, but it's also been memorable, and I've learned that it's not easy being an umpire. From a player perspective, it's always a case of how difficult can your job be. But there's so much more to it than just making a decision on the field. There's different things that you need to learn. There's movements. There's a lot of studying involved as well. But I'm enjoying it, and I'll probably keep on doing it for many more years to come, inshallah.
Ameen. Shukran. Chris, how did it all start for you?
As I say, I'm the veteran in the umpires. I started when I was 17 years old. I'm going to my 21st season this coming year.
Wow.
At the age of 42 in January coming. To be honest with you, I have so many memorable matches. I can't stand anything out. I have so many mentors in my life which I look up to, who's with us still and who's gone with us. But every single game I take as it is. It doesn't matter what age group. If you can be a 10-year-old boy or you can be a man of 60 years old, a game is a game. The laws stay the same. We all love the game. That's why I still do umpiring. And one of my colleagues always told me when they say on my Facebook page or talk to me, you stand with Jan van Riebeeck way back in 1652. You're still going strong. That's about it.
No, you're still so young, Chris. How could he say that to you? Suhail, your side, umpiring, how did it all start for you?
I initially started umpiring when I was at school. That was around about in 1998. I umpired at the USASA tournament, and then obviously when I became part of the university, my studies became very challenging, so I took a break, and then I rejoined the association in 2022. So I've been with them now, and alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, I've been elected as a secretary of the
Alhamdulillah.
association as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been going great. Just with regard to the mention about the rain, we do have a Duckworth Lewis system.
Uh-huh.
So definitely that will come into play. So let the rains come, we've got our Duckworth Lewis for us, helping us out.
Shukran so much. Ivor, you obviously also just, you were tournament umpire. So how long have you been umpiring? Where did it all start for you? How did you get into umpiring?
I started my level 1 course in 2015. 2015, I started umpiring in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So it's from that time I've been umpiring, and this year would be my 4th CSA tournament.
Fantastic. Lovely. Brent?
For me, Shamila, I've developed a love for the game at a very young age. I always knew that when I do decide to stop playing, that I'd either, give back to the game via coaching or whether it be officiating. And last season, I decided to kind of just hang up the boots and pursue this umpiring career. And I absolutely love it. Never have thought that I would enjoy it this much. And yeah, it's only been my 2nd season.
Mm-hmm.
I've umpired for 1 season and really looking forward to the 2nd season.
Fantastic. I can see that passion there. It's wonderful when we see that, umpires, referees, if they can't, if they have to stop playing the game, at least to give back in some way.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fantastic that you can still stay in touch with the game in this respect. So just in terms of your roles, Aslam, you are the head of the disciplinary committee. So I got really excited. Let me just tell the listeners that I got really excited to hear, Riaz, that yes, umpires also do get disciplined. And I hope that the rugby people are listening out there. And the football people. Referees must be accountable.
Definitely.
Just like umpires are. So obviously your role as the head of the disciplinary committee extends both to players and umpires. How busy
Yes.
are you?
Okay, so from an umpire perspective, I'm the chairman of the disciplinary committee of the Umpires Association, and I also serve on the disciplinary committee of the Western Province Cricket Association. So that will be more towards from a play perspective, right? But from an umpire's perspective, that is where the umpires that's where they would basically meet up with me and my team.
Right.
And it could be for a numerous amount of reasons. It could be for late coming
Okay.
to matches because you need to be a certain time at the field. There's certain pre-match duties that you need to fulfill.
Right.
So if there's a spate of late coming, if there's an issue with an umpire that keeps on withdrawing on the last minute, things like that. And also, if you look at captain's reports, you get a lot of information from how the game went
Right.
from a captain's report because both captains has to fill out a report based on the umpire's performance. So that will be their communication,
Okay.
it will be how they handled pressure,
Right.
etc. So we go through all of those things, and if something keeps on standing out for a specific umpire, we don't discipline him immediately. Okay, we're a little bit lenient, and we first discuss on a exco level if it's a case of, is it a training issue or should it actually go to a disciplinary hearing?
Right.
So you have to give the umpire a chance, and that is all that it basically entails. It's
Okay.
it's a very simplistic situation, and it's also very time consuming because when you have these disciplinaries, it takes time away from your family.
Yes.
And then I find myself at Newlands 2 or 3 times a week, which is not ideal
Sure.
after business hours.
Uh-huh.
And especially if you if you're doing a disciplinary with a player, and I'm with the Western Province Cricket Association, that also takes time off because we do like 2 or 3 disciplinaries after each other.
Right.
So you can start like at 6 and you can end like at past 9 in the evening.
Yes, no. I can only imagine. But when I think of like DCs with rugby, because that's my reference point, when you watch rugby, you can understand why they get disciplined and why they have to attend disciplinary hearings. And I've obviously watched cricket, so I'm not sure what type of misdemeanors are they guilty of? What are the charges, with cricket players? I'm failing to, because I'm comparing them to rugby players, obviously, so the charges would be, in terms of, it's a contact sport, so you're attacking a player in a head collision, or you kicked a player, or you punched a player, etc. But what could cricket players possibly do to get them in trouble at a DC?
Okay, so to put something into perspective, we need to understand that a soccer match or a rugby match only lasts for 90 minutes or 80 minutes respectively. Cricket is a whole day.
Yes.
So players gather at...
Especially with declaration.
Yeah, so players gather at like 8 o'clock in the morning and they leave in at past 6 in the evening.
Right.
So it's quite a draining day, okay, for players and for umpires as well. But from a player perspective, what we normally come across is the use of foul language. And sometimes players can get very personal.
Right.
They'll talk about family members, okay, because they want to try to get under your skin.
Sure.
And also, unfortunately, there could even be cases, very minimal, hardly ever happens, but you do sometimes come across an issue where the race card comes involved, which is not good. But we try to keep that under wraps very, very quickly, and because you don't want it to spill out of control.
Sure.
So besides umpiring a game of cricket, we're there to manage the players, but also manage ourselves and make sure that we are a role model for them, so that they can obviously toe in line and obviously let the game flow. But there are many scenarios, bringing the game into disrepute, and you bad-mouthing the Umpires Association, or you bad-mouthing a fellow member of your team, because I've seen it happen on match day, where they argue amongst each other, which is not ideal. And me personally, I intervene because it's not good for the game.
Sure. And these are team members?
This is team members. So besides the opposition going against each other and having to go at each other, sometimes it happens within the team as well. There's many scenarios. There are tons of them, but foul language stands out a lot. Just bad behavior, chirping like very, very badly, getting like really personal.
Going over the line.
Fielders, going over the line like bad. You have fielders that comes into the batsman's space, his private space. There's no need for you to, I don't know if you know where cover is or where point is. Okay, so you're running all the way from cover or from point to come and chirp the batsman running almost onto the pitch. It's completely unnecessary. Right. So we try to manage things like that. And each umpire, we're not all exactly the same. Our temperament is completely different. We handle things differently, but we try our best to have the end result be a positive one.
Sure.
Where everything is sorted out amicably. And now and then you have to push it a little, and then you'll tell them, guys, if you're going to keep on carrying on like this, then I'm going to report you.
Right.
Normally something like that, it calms them down a little bit. Okay, you do get the guys that it might even rile them up even more, but the captain will then have to take control of the play, because I'll tell the captain.
Yes.
I'll tell him, listen here. If he gets taken into a disciplinary, you're going to get taken in as well. So if he gets 4 weeks, you're going to get 8. So that's what happens.
Right.
So the captain actually suffers a lot of the brunt as well.
Wow.
So
because he couldn't control the player, basically.
Because he couldn't control his teammates.
Okay. Wow.
But that's like minimal. That's like only a few. I'm just giving you an idea of
the
of
worst
the
case
possibilities
scenario.
and what
Yeah.
could possibly happen.
And the players, do they get reported and referred to you the disciplinary issues now? Is that from the umpires themselves?
Yeah, so if I have an issue with a player,
Yeah.
okay, I will report the player, okay, but I will speak to the captain first, and I'll speak to the player as well and inform them what my next steps are going to be. I'm not going to let them find out, just by the way,
Yeah,
on
through-
Monday morning, like you have a love letter in your email.
Yeah.
It's in your inbox. It doesn't work that way. So we tell them on the day that this is the steps that we're going to take, and the reason why we're taking the steps is because of A, B, and C. And even though we intervened and we asked you very, very nicely on more than one occasion to please stop, you didn't, and you just kept on going, and then we take it from there. So there's an umpire's report an offence report that we fill out as well.
Okay.
But it's very precise. So we
Yes.
it's going to indicate what date it is, what day it is, who the two teams were, who the captains were, the player involved, and it has to be very precise as to when it happened, what time it happened, what ball of what over it happened, what exactly was said, and so that whoever is reading it when we send it into
Sure.
the association, they must read it as if they were there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
everything needs to be very transparent and it needs to be very clear and precise.
Okay, fantastic. Now, so it's serious business, and that now I can understand why my voice went
Yeah.
like that when I
serious.
said disciplinary committee. Shukran for explaining that process to us, Aslam. It really is a serious business, and we obviously want, our children play sport.
Yeah.
To learn. Part of it is not just about the athleticism and the skills, but also to learn the life skills involved in being part of a sport.
Absolutely.
And that
Yeah.
discipline is so important. Chirping is all good, but it's when they take it obviously to another level that it becomes serious. Chris, just in terms of newly qualified umpires for the season, have you had many this season or for the new season?
Shamila, to be honest with you, our training department at West Province Cricket Umpires Association is doing a tremendous job. And every time when they do training, we get our numbers increased. Means
Wow.
my work gets harder because one of my duties and my portfolio at the Umpires Association is organizing a awards dinner. And my venue gets smaller by the day. Every time when there's a training department going training, there's members coming in and I have to expand and I have to expand. But the prospect is looking good, especially from our ladies' side, which has been increased for the last 3-4 years.
Fantastic.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And of course, in our Black African umpires also see a lot of increase regarding that also. We're very happy about it. And I believe, in my own opinion, and I believe in my fellow EXCO members, our association is one of the strongest in the country as yet. And I want us to go stronger and become bigger. Let the world recognize Western Province cricket. That's why I say thank you very much for the training department, what they do for us regarding the numbers increasing.
That's fantastic to hear, Chris, because one of my concerns was and questions was in relation to fast tracking, particularly, of course, of women in umpiring and, of course, Black African persons in umpiring, and you've already answered that question, but it's been an increase in terms of the numbers for women and particularly Black Africans.
Very much so. Like we had a training course the other day at Langa Cricket Club, and there was a lot of players who was there, and of course people that is interested in the game itself. And we're currently doing training at UWC, which is also players. And when we see the pictures, for example, on our group, there's a lot of ladies also involved, and that's good to see it.
Definitely.
Because it's the future of tomorrow, the lady power, look at Margaret Thatcher, for example.
No, absolutely. Women's sport is growing phenomenally, and obviously we want women. It's not just about women being involved in the sport as athletes, but also, like umpires, referees, administrators, etc. So, Suhail, I know that Chris has alluded to the fact that, the training department is busy. So you guys don't really have an issue to recruit umpires. You know, there's a lot of problems when it comes to refereeing in other sports, where particularly, for example, in rugby, there's a big shortage, and there's a big plea at club level for more club personnel to get involved in refereeing, to do referee courses. This doesn't seem to be the case with cricket.
I must say, alhamdulillah, we are blessed. Shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again. We have a lot of Western Province has been a cricketing nation. So we have a lot of members that were either cricketers. You know, you've got the Majid brothers, you've got the Primrose, you've got the Uniteds, you've got the Ottomans, all of these clubs where there were generation and generation of cricketers that were playing. And ultimately, like with Aslam, who gave up his boots to become an umpire, we've got Brent also, who gave up his boot to become an umpire. So alhamdulillah, in that way, we are quite good about that. Just adding to what Chris mentioned a little bit about it, I think the major problems that we have as umpires is that not a lot of our umpires have transport. So they have to travel from point A, excuse me, from point A to point B on their own peril. The association does provide us with cost and things like that, but that thing is more like a traveling cost. So I think, yes, we would love to have more umpires. I mean, currently we are stopping at level D. We would like to go into the reserve games as well, inshallah, if Allah permits us to do that. You know, and that can only happen with funding, with going forward, where businesses come on board with us, you know, in terms of sponsorships, where the umpires could perhaps be properly remunerated for it. I can't much speak for the rugby and for the soccer, didn't have much doing there. But alhamdulillah, I must say we are quite blessed in terms of the umpiring side, because there hasn't been a game where I've stood an umpire where there wasn't a partner to stand with me. You know, so in that way I'm quite blessed. I know other provinces might have a little bit of struggle with this, and I think one of the other things also, we have quite lots of fields available in the Western Cape compared to perhaps the other provinces. So that could also be reasons where we have a lot of you know, we've got a lot of the areas as well. Jazakallah.
Shukran so much. Ivan, you as a tournament umpire, what does that mean? Because I was told, Riaz, specifically, they are tournament umpires. You must mention that. So tell our listeners what a tournament umpire is.
So basically, it's every year, December month, our umpires get evaluated, and then the best umpires, or so called,
the top scorers,
gets selected to represent your association at the national tournament, which is CSA, Cricket South Africa. And then there you get to umpire with other unions, associations, and then you get basically they track you and they mark you up or down.
Right.
And then from there you get up the ladder from under 15, under 16, Coke Week, and then from there you just go up and...
Oh, okay. And which tournament will you be at this year?
We will be at under 16. Oudtshoorn, in Oudtshoorn.
Ah, okay, in Oudtshoorn. Great stuff. And which tournaments have you umpired before?
I went to the under 16 2 years ago in Pretoria. And last year we were at the Kaimajola in Stellenbosch.
Okay, fantastic. And Brent, from your side, just in terms of your involvement with tournament umpiring?
Yeah, so the season will be my first season umpiring in a tournament. I'm completely surprised that I was selected.
So quickly.
Yeah. Referring to the fast tracking,
yes.
I'm one of those umpires who have been fast tracked. But for me, it's a bit more personal. We do live in a country where we are faced with many challenges. And for me, it's, you know, there's so many benefits in sport. It's just the capacity to develop self-esteem for our youngsters, to regulate behavior and habits, good habits, learn leadership and communication skills, and to learn patience. And just as an umpire, to kind of ensure that, there's respect to the spirit of cricket. You respect your captain, your teammates, your opponents, the umpires, and hopefully that transfers out into the communities. So to me, that's really important. And then obviously play hard and play fair.
I like that, Brent. I like that so much. All those life skills you mentioned, that's why we want our children to play sport, because it teaches them all of those things. Being part of a team, sharing, learning to deal with loss, respecting your opponent, etc., respecting your teammates, and all of the above that you mentioned. And I think it's so important that we get that across to our youngsters, to our players, and from a young age as well. So thank you for mentioning that. That's fantastic. Just in terms of the training courses, Chris, how does training take place, and where does it take place, and what do the courses involve?
Jamila, we always start on level 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a face-to-face at a cricket club, or at sometime maybe a school is like to get involved. So you look at average about 20 to 30 people that is interested, and it is headed by our training coordinator, Thomas Makarossi, who served on the CSA national panel, which is very lucky this current moment because he sits in France. I wish I was him. So they do training over a few days, 2 to 3 hours, and they train new umpires, the basic laws. So after that, they write the new entries, they write the exam on a multiple choice question, and you have to get 80%.
Mm-hmm.
And then onwards, you do a level 2, which is more in depth into the law itself, what different no balls you get, different wides, different dead balls. There you also have to get the 80% pass rate. Then you get level 3. There you play in a game scenario, how the game is progressed, what you're going to do in a game, what is playing off in the law, and how you're going to administrate that law into the playing conditions and with the law itself. If you finish there, then it all depends from you as an umpire, how you want to work. You want to work harder, you want to get recognized, and of course then it all depends from Cricket South Africa. They can invite you to a level 4 exam. That is only pure by invitation only, and it's decided by Cricket South Africa who they're going to take. And if you pass there, there's also 80% pass rate. If you umpire pass the rate there, you're going most probably stand in the emerging panel, which is provinces like Western Province against the Warriors this coming Monday, or you're going to be on the national panel. If you've been selected on the national panel, it means you're going to be weekends out throughout the country. And after 6-7 years, if you've been good there, CSA nominate you to go to the International Cricket Council, which is where Mare Erasmus stand, and lately the new addition, Aiden Holsock and Adulim Palakar. So then you're in the top boys. But remember also, umpiring is not just a job, it's a fun of it, enjoyment, but it's a pyramid system. There are a lot of people, and the higher you climb, the smaller the pyramid goes.
Right.
So you must be prepared to work hard, and you must be prepared to have the failures in life also if you can't make it. But just enjoy the game itself. So
you said that they will get picked after the third level. Do you have to stand in a specific amount of matches, or how does that work?
no, you can stand as you write level 1. You can already start to stand matches,
Okay.
but it's for your own benefit
Yeah.
to do level 2 and level 3 because then you learn more about the game.
Okay.
Level 1, I would say, is just a basic law, and I recommend level 1 for all club players and school players. Just do level 1, just to get the basic background about the law. Because if you know the law basic, then that makes your life so much easier on the field as a player. And if you want to go higher, then you have to study. Unfortunately, that's why you have to study.
But that's amazing because especially when what we're talking about the level 3, because that's literally the match situations and those things that they teach you to be able to deal with that when you are standing in different matches. So that's really, really interesting that you brought up. That's really cool.
I have to ask this question, Riaz. So I know that as umpires, you've seen some pretty amazing stuff in terms of shots and bowling, where even you would be like, that was a good one. So just some of the crazy things you've seen out there, without revealing too much, of course. Just some, just like a highlight, an absolute highlight, or something funny that you actually witnessed standing in the umpiring position. I can see you've got something there for us, Aslam.
So there's always something that is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. That was my very first season of umpiring, and I'm not going to mention who my partner was because I don't think that's going to be ideal. But I was the bowler's end umpire, and my partner was at square leg. And bowler ran in, bowled a legal ball, and the batsman hit the ball very, very hard to the square leg umpire, and it hit him where it hurts the most.
Oh.
Sure.
And we all ran to him at the same time, and we wanted to know, are you okay? And the look on his face, even though he thought it was funny at the time, but he was in a lot of pain.
Shame, man.
And I've never, ever in my whole entire life of playing cricket, I've never ever seen that happen on the field. Never ever.
And it had to happen when
but
you were
in my
umpiring.
first season of umpiring, that is what happened. And but he, after a bit of breathing and of moving the legs around while laying on his back, he was up and about, and he was good to go. But that was the most funniest moment that I've ever come across on the umpire, while standing umpire, and it's just something I'll never ever forget.
So umpires also need protective gear.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
They do.
Chris, your side?
Mine happened many seasons ago. As the listeners who know, Western Province used to have the 1ABC and the second division, and they changed over to Prem 1A. But that instance happened many years ago at Reigersdal Cricket Club, which is not existence anymore. Reigersdal Cricket Club was playing Hanover Park Cricket Club that year in the old 1B division. And Brian McMillan was the batsman. He played for Reigersdal. And I'm not going to mention any names because the one gentleman is quite high up in cricket these days. Three of them, they were playing the match, and this specific gentleman bowled a ball, and his brother was the keeper, and his other brother was the first slip, and Brian McMillan nicked the ball off into the hands of first slip, and first slip dropped the ball.
Oh no.
So he walked up to his brother. He used nice language. That time we don't have any disciplinary committee hearings or nothing. We just had to calm them down and say, "That's it, gentlemen. Just leave for each other. Let's play the game." And he walked into the brother and said to Waka, and he said to him, "Listen here, why you drop my ball?" The brother explained to him something. And next moment he headbutted his own brother on the field.
Oh my word!
And Brian McMillan looked at me at square. He said to me, "Chris, what you gonna do about it?" I said, "There's nothing we can do about it." And that was a memorable thing to remember, because especially where cricket went from that time, where it's now serious.
Yeah. Sure.
So now these days you can't do it anymore. Otherwise you go in front of Aslam.
Yes, you'll be in a lot of trouble. Ivan, you've got a story for us.
Yeah, my one is not a funny story. You mentioned that sometimes we do need protective gear for umpires, but as I say, it's not a funny one. It was a veterans game, the Veterans League, and I actually got hit against the head above my eye.
Oh.
by one of the most hardest hitters,
Oh no.
Boba.
Oh no.
So everybody knows Boba. So mine is actually not a funny one. It got hit against the stumps. It hit so hard against the stumps, against my head. From my head, it went to mid on, and he was actually caught out. So
No way.
you can see how you can now imagine how hard he
Wow.
hit that
Okay.
ball.
So was he allowed to be out, even though you were the deflecting?
I couldn't see what I just
Yeah.
collapsed.
Oh, shame.
So Square League had to give him out.
Yes.
I'm so sorry about that. But I think you definitely have grounds for calling for protective gear. Definitely, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
There it is.
That's dangerous, yeah. But I feel like off the wickets and things like that is very difficult to avoid and things like that, because it's so close and they just ricochet all over the place.
No,
and
exactly.
it's difficult for you to.
And
get
I
out of
mean,
the
you
way.
get some really hard hitters, and you
Yeah.
get some really fast bowlers. So I would be terrified. No, I think we need some protective gear.
At least you're okay after that, and you can still stand and everything like that. And you could. Okay.
You have one for us, Suhail?
No, I mean, I don't want to take up much of listeners' time, but I mean, I just like to reiterate to the listeners also sometimes, not just the rugby referees and the soccer referees have to go through this. I also, in my first year as an umpire, stood at the tournament. It was under 13 tournament, and the man-cat rule just became a rule.
Right.
Man-cat is basically a run out when the bowler is trying to run the batsman non-striker out before he
Yes.
bowls his ball, whatever.
Yes.
And this was unfortunately at the under 13 tournament. And before the toss, and I told the two captains, guys, man-cat rule has become a rule, and the association wants us to follow this rule and everything. It's a semi-final. It's Paul versus, I can't remember the other team. I think it was someone Belleville or somewhere. And Paul was basically cruising. They had 4 overs. They had to score 13 runs or something. I don't know how this bowler got any indication, and then he started man-catting the players out. And the Paul players are just I don't know, they were so into that mindset of backing up while they're in the non-strikers in, and they were always leaving.
Yes,
and I would be
yes.
telling them, guys, stay in your crease, guys, stay in your crease. So that wasn't the part. The part is when the match finished, and I'm about to go out, and all the parents are lined up for me,
Waiting for you there.
waiting for me. It's how can you give bad cat? And I'm saying, look, it's not me. It's the association who have made this rule compulsory. So don't look at me.
Yes.
Paul guys were very upset. Shame they had to go back. They couldn't play in the finals for that day, but I really apologize to Paul for that. But yeah,
Now, I'm sure there's lots of parent stories when it comes to umpiring. Everybody's an expert. Every parent is an expert on that line as they run there, irrespective of the sport. Brent?
I've seen some incredible catches, one-hand catches. I've seen some run-outs, direct hits, moments of brilliance. And what's amazing is that those moments have changed the outcome of the game. It reignites belief within the team that's in a losing position, and they actually end up winning the game just by that one moment of brilliance.
Yes.
And to me, that's what I kind of look forward to. That's
Right.
just seeing, who's the guy, who's going to be the guy to change the outcome of the game,
Yes,
basically.
yes.
And it's amazing to see how teams just that moment of brilliance kind of brings everybody together, and then just reignites the belief that, listen, guys, we're winning this game, basically.
Absolutely. I like that so much. And just talking about rules, there's obviously, every year, Aslam, we have new laws that come into play, or we have revised laws that come into play. So just in terms of the new season, tell us about some of the more important new laws or revised laws for the season.
A lot of them has been implemented last season already, but I'm just going to hop on 2, which is it's very prevalent in the game. So going back to COVID, the players are not allowed to use saliva to shine the ball.
Right.
They can, however, use their sweat. but they
Okay.
can't use their saliva.
Okay, that's yeah.
It's a bit baffling to me, but that's basically the most important one because you can get penalized. So
Okay.
we'll give you a warning.
Right.
And players do it, they don't do it intentionally.
Yeah, it's without
I'd like to
thinking.
think they're not doing it intentionally
Sure.
because it's a habit. That's what you do.
Yes.
The ball goes from the wicket keeper
Yes.
back to the bowler and it goes through a couple of fielders and they all do exactly the same thing. The guys have gotten used to it and they know what the new law is. So there's no saliva that you can use on the ball. You can only use sweat. And if we catch you doing it, we give you a warning. If you do it again, we penalize you 5 runs.
Right.
So the other one, which came into effect last year as well, is normally if a batsman is caught out, okay, but the 2 batsmen crossed. If they cross, okay, the non-striker, if he crosses, he can face the new ball, and the new batsman goes to where he was.
Right.
So
okay.
that law has changed.
Okay.
So if you get caught out, you're caught out. And the new batsman that comes in will face the very next ball.
Right.
So
okay.
that's just 2 important ones that I'm going to hop on at the moment. There's many of them. I mean, last year we probably had on only a few, there was like 31 slides that we went through
Wow.
at one refresher course.
Sure.
So it's quite a bit. But it's very technical to get into it on
Yes.
radio.
Yes.
It's actually something I need to put up to you and show you.
Yeah.
Yes. Have
But,
a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, but the 2 that I mentioned is quite important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And is there a consultation process at all, or do these laws just come directly to you from CSA, of course, via the ICC?
So the laws they actually come from the MCC in England.
Okay.
Okay, at Lords they
Right.
they
The laws
basically
of the game.
they write the cricket book.
Right.
So whatever they implement, we just have to follow.
Okay.
But we do have our own playing conditions. Okay, as a union.
Okay.
Okay, or as a organization. So whatever playing conditions, we play according to playing conditions. Okay, and whatever is not clear in playing condition, we will then refer the decision back to law. So it's very exciting. And it keeps you on your toes, but it's also something that you have to read over quite a few times because you don't want to be questioned on the day and you don't know what to say.
Right.
Because if you don't know what to answer, especially if it's a player that knows the laws very well and playing conditions very well,
Yes.
okay,
yes.
then the rest of your day is not going to go too good.
Yeah, there's always one. There's
Yeah.
always one.
There's actually quite a
always
few
one.
of them. So there's quite a few players
Yeah.
out there that actually knows their thing. There's quite a few players that actually did the umpires course,
Oh, wow.
but they actually still play.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So, but and that's
And
a
they'll
good
want
thing.
to
I don't
test the
think,
knowledge.
Yes, and I don't
Yeah.
think it's a bad thing at all. I'd actually encourage every club cricketer,
Yes.
Yeah.
whether you play in first team, second team, third team, fourth team, or fifth team, to come and do the umpires
Sure.
course, just so that you can broaden your knowledge
Right.
of the game itself.
Yes.
Because when I had a very bad mouth on the field, unfortunately, in my playing days, and I always wanted to be right.
Says the head of the DC.
Yeah, not a very good attitude to have as a player.
Yeah.
But when in my very first class of level 1 umpiring, I learned so much and I actually felt quite ignorant. Because there is so many things that you have to know just regarding measurements itself
Yes.
of the creases.
Yes.
It can sometimes be a bit mind-boggling, but you just need to keep your cool and you need to know your surroundings and you need to
Right.
believe in yourself. You got to be positive.
Yes. Yes.
And listen, if you, like Uncle Shafiq, he's not here this evening, but he says, if you're not going to be a good umpire, at least dress like one. So, but our training department is,
Yeah.
I feel we have the best training department in the whole country.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We have Tom Mokorosi, which Chris mentioned earlier on. He's linked with the ICC at the moment for
Right.
training as well.
Fantastic.
And on that training department, we also have Abdullah Steenkamp, and him and Tom Mokorosi is on the national umpires panel.
Great.
So we in very good hands, and they're very flexible. You can call them at any time. They always check up on you. How did your game go? How can we improve? How can we help you? Which is a good thing, because I know from many other sporting codes it's very difficult especially for referees, whether it be in rugby or whether it be in soccer, where they don't have that type of support system. But a training support system in the Western Province Cricket Association that we have, from an umpiring perspective, is brilliant. And we consider ourselves to be the best in the country. And I think, Chris, if I'm not mistaken, I think our scorecard represented that we were the top Umpires Association in the country. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So,
that's great to hear. So we're definitely winning in that respect. I always and I have to ask this question, because I always feel sorry for umpires when the bowler goes up and, you know, the bowler gives you his hat or his sunglasses and whatever he's had on his person, and you're responsible for keeping that, and it just goes on top of your hat, or his shades go on top of you, on top of that hat. So I always feel like they're just, you know, cladding you with all of their things while they're bowling. But I think it's fantastic that you guys do that anyway. I think we only have about 2 minutes left. It's gone so quickly. So I'm going to give each of you just a 10, 15 second slot to just give us your last words. Chris, we'll start with you.
I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity, and on behalf of myself and my fellow colleagues at the Western Province Cricket Umpire Association, we're looking forward for a new season to start. You know, on Saturdays when you don't do umpiring anymore, we're going to watch club rugby. Like for tomorrow, we're going to watch the Super League finals.
Yes.
At City Park, so we're looking forward. But next
backing,
weekend is
Chris?
back to the park.
Who are you backing tomorrow's
Unfortunately,
finals?
I stay in Somerset West Strand, so I have to back Heidelberg.
And they've done so well. I mean, coming from Super League B into Super League A for the first year and making the finals. So we're definitely backing them against Marty's. And of course, we've got some really good players there. And Egon Seconds is one of the coaches as well, ex-provincial player. So let's hope it's going to be a great one. Thank you so much, Chris. Brent, last words from your side?
Yeah, I once again thank you for the opportunity. And again, just excited for the new season to begin. As Aslam had mentioned earlier, I wish I had done an umpire's course while I was still playing, because I feel that it's not just a skillful game, it's strategic as well. Overrates and field placings and restrictions. As a player, I didn't kind of take that seriously, and it's very important as far as the game is concerned. But yeah, again, I would encourage youngsters to do it as well. And yeah, we've waited 6-7 months for the season to start. Can't wait to get going.
Yay, it's here. Ivan?
I just want to say thank you, Shamila. Unfortunately, I can't watch the rugby. I got a warm-up game tomorrow.
Okay.
So normally this time I would be in bed going over some playing conditions, but it's a warm-up game. So normally I get my stuff ready but tonight and all the other times my wife does that for me.
Oh,
so
sweet.
It's nice to have a support as well.
Oh, fantastic. No, you can't do otherwise, eh? Thank you so much, Ivan. Suhail, last word to you.
Jazakallah for the opportunity, and adding on from all my members and colleagues that I've added, Western Province Cricket Association is there for the Western Province and for people from outside the province as well. And me being the secretary, I'm always available. You guys can call me. We've got our training department as well. Wherever we can assist members, we will try and assist. And I mean, we've gone out of our ways for other members as well, you know, throughout their achievements, and assisted wherever we could. So as an association and as a secretary, I would like to welcome, like how Aslam said, that all first teams, all the players, please do your level 1 course. Even if you're not going to say an umpire, just do it for the basic knowledge. It's a plea out there for me. And then of course businesses, we would love businesses to come on board as well. If they can, we will highly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Shukran so much, gents. We have gone over time, 2 minutes over time, so I'm going to have to end it here. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you in studio and having you tell us all about your umpiring shenanigans at Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. You guys are doing absolutely fantastic work. Please keep it going and bring back those stories. Collect those stories and come and tell us all about them another time. Thank you so much for being here.